Well, hello everyone and welcome to the final qualifying day recap of the 2020 season. And wow, what a qualifying session we saw today. Max Verstappen finally getting his first pole of the season, really saving it till last, didn't he? Max Verstappen taking pole, the Red Bull looking like it has some genuine pace and really looking like he could potentially win tomorrow's Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. So, let's talk about the final qualifying session of the 2020 season. Going to start off by talking about the final practice session of the season. And it wasn't that relevant, but this was where Red Bull did raise a lot of eyebrows. Max Verstappen topped the timesheets by 0.5 of a second, back to Alexander Albon in second, who set the second fastest time. In third place was Daniel Ricciardo in the Renault, ahead of Esteban Ocon in fourth for Renault. Lando Norris set the fifth fastest time ahead of Lewis Hamilton. Mercedes appeared to be holding back quite a bit this session, not really showing their hand with 6th and 9th. Lewis Hamilton was 6th ahead of Lance Stroll in 7th. Carlos Sainz was 8th ahead of Valtteri Bottas and Sergio Perez. Danny Kvyat's been having a very good weekend in the AlphaTauri in 11th place, ahead of Charles Leclerc in 12th, Pierre Gasly in 13th, Sebastian Vettel in 14th. George Russell set a good lap time in practice 3 to be 15th fastest. Then it was Antonio Giovinazzi, Kimi Räikkönen, Kevin Magnussen, Nicolas Latifi and Pietro Fittipaldi. As I said, this wasn't the most relevant session in the world, but as conditions were completely different to what we saw in qualifying. Qualifying, it was an exciting session in Abu Dhabi. Abu Dhabi does tend to produce some fairly interesting qualifying sessions from time to time. I'm going to start off by talking about the first part of qualifying, where out of Q1 went Kimi Räikkönen, who starts in 16th behind, with his teammate managed to slip through at the last minute. Kevin Magnussen qualified in 17th ahead of George Russell, who could not repeat his qualifying heroics that he has done for much of the season, in 18th. Pietro Fittipaldi will start in 19th place, with Nicolas Latifi, who qualified last. But those are not the starting positions because there are 2 grid penalties. Kevin Magnussen will start at the back of the grid due to some engine penalties, and as well as Sergio Perez as well, who starts at the back with engine penalties in 19th place. And Sergio Perez finished the session 15th, not setting a time in the second part of qualifying due to his engine penalty, deciding just to scrub a set of tyres, and he only starts and not to set a time. There's no point to set a time. Antonio Giovinazzi qualified in fourth, will start 14th place, just behind Sebastian Vettel, who felt he got the maximum out of his car and was actually questioning why there was such a big gap between himself and Charles Leclerc. Esteban Ocon starts in 12th, just behind Daniel Ricciardo. Very disappointing qualifying. Well, not behind, it's actually the other way around. Esteban Ocon ahead of Daniel Ricciardo. Very disappointing qualifying for Renault. They probably expected a lot better than that, considering the practices. And then came the third part of qualifying. And in the early runs, it was Valtteri Bottas who had provisional pole, with a 10th advantage over Max Verstappen. Lewis Hamilton was in third over Alex Albon in fourth. And it was looking good for Valtteri Bottas. Then came the second runs, and Lewis Hamilton was the first to set a really good second run he managed to go provisional pole before he was beaten by Valtteri Bottas, who set an incredible final sector. And it looked like Bottas had pole. But then, Max Verstappen, what a lap he did. With an incredible lap, managed to put his Red Bull on pole position. And it was an incredible lap. Probably one of the laps of his career, to be honest. To be able to beat the faster Mercedes and finally break his pole position curse for 2020. Lando Norris will start in 4th place with a great lap that he did at the end to get in between the likes of Hamilton and Albon, who will be disappointed with 5th, considering that things were looking good for him earlier on in the session. Carlos Sainz Jr. set the 6th fastest time ahead of Danny Kvyat, who once again had a very impressive qualifying to make it into Q3 and also outpace his teammate Pierre Gasly in 7th place. Lance Stroll will start in 8th place, ahead of Charles Leclerc, who could not repeat his qualifying heroics from Bahrain. And he will one thing that I have not included, did not remember to include on this, is that Charles Leclerc actually has a 3-place grid penalty, so he will start in 12th place, promoting Pierre Gasly into 9th place in the grid. He would have been disappointed with that. Esteban Ocon into 10th and Daniel Ricciardo into 11th. So that is it from the qualifying recap. What are we going to expect tomorrow? Because obviously Max Verstappen's on pole, but we have seen the Red Bull is not amazing off the line. That will be interesting to keep an eye on, but he will be doing everything he can to defend his position going into that first corner. And the question is, how's Lewis Hamilton going to do? It's his first race. He said he's not feeling 100% and it's going to be a tough race. But will he be able to have a solid race to finish off his record-breaking season? And who is going to take 3rd place in the constructor standings? A slightly rough qualifying for Racing Point with Perez's penalty has not really helped them in that regard. That is it from the qualifying day review. Thank you very much for watching. Be sure to check out the RaceWeek website at raceweekblog.com. Follow us on Twitter, RaceWeek_show. We're going to try to get the account back underway. And subscribe to this channel for more RaceWeek content. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow for the race date review. Whilst the moments of the week from the Sakhir Grand Prix will also be uploaded tonight. Thank you very much for watching. See you tomorrow. Goodbye.